To other news now. A Canadian who went overseas to fight with ISIS won't be returning to this country anytime soon, at least not with his own passport. A video of John Maguire surfaced on the weekend. He was apparently under RCMP investigation before he left, but the Justice Minister says he probably won't be arrested in Canada. CBC's Catherine Cullen has more. Catherine.
Peter, the federal government wants to stop John Maguire from traveling back to Canada, although there is no indication that he wants to return. What a lot of people are wondering is what drove him to ISIS in the first place. From this small-town hockey rink to life as a foreign fighter, John Maguire knows it's a baffling transition. He plays off it in his video.
I was one of you. I was a typical Canadian. I grew up on the hockey rink and spent my teenage years on stage playing guitar.
For many in the town where he spent some of his teen years getting good grades in school, that he would now threaten Canada is confusing.
It just shocks everybody.
Hard to believe, yeah. I can't get my head wrapped around it.
Though no one wants to give in to the fear he's trying to sow.
As an average citizen, Canadian citizen, I think that we're blowing this way out of proportion and we're giving them exactly what they want.
His awful transition has left his loved ones suffering. One close family member told the CBC that he said he was going to a friend's house to study, but instead left for Syria. The Canadian government is trying to stop him from traveling anymore.
His passport was revoked after he left the country, so his ability to return is very difficult for him, of course. Though, as you saw in the video, I don't think this guy has any intention of ever coming back to Canada.
In fact, other Canadians who have joined ISIS have made a spectacle of destroying their passports. The government also continues to promise new laws to deal with potential foreign fighters.
We are currently working on legislation that would provide more tools to our law enforcement agencies so they are better able to track, build evidence, and lay charges.
Underlying that is a debate about whether the authorities could do more with the tools that they already have. There's also the question of whether those like Maguire might face criminal charges. The RCMP wouldn't answer that question, only saying it's aware of this latest video and continues to be vigilant against all threats. Peter?
All right, Catherine. Thank you. Catherine Cullen in Ottawa. Well, ADRIENNE Arsenault has also been digging into this story. Now, we're talking about one man, one video. What are you hearing about the concern level on this?
I think no one really wants to overstate the fear. There's no panic here, but I think we've come to understand in this country that where there's one John Maguire, there's probably two or three or maybe even four. It's really unusual for someone to, radicalize on their own and have no one else in their circle affected. And we have really come to believe that John Maguire was part of a group of people from Ottawa who were radicalized. We're talking about perhaps a handful of others in his circle who either went overseas to fight as well or are at home and have these social media profiles that are just dripping in ISIS propaganda. So, given this video, you can bet there are some concerns about just where everyone else is and what they're up to.
Once again, it comes down to that question of numbers and people asking, well, how many people are we actually talking about here? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, the math is so slippery on this because the landscape changes, so quickly. We think probably anything approximating an official count is changing at least once a week because the names change so quickly. If you look at John Maguire, he changed his nom de guerre fairly frequently. So you could have 4 names corresponding with just one guy, or 6 new names could crop up corresponding with 6 brand new people who all of a sudden need to be tracked. How seriously are they going to be tracked? Who's tracking them? Given that shift, I don't think it's a surprise at all that we're hearing for calls for new tools.
All right. ADRIENNE, thanks very much. ADRIENNE Arsenault.